Hey everyone, it's the day before Savage, so as usual I want to take some time to talk about my plans for the tier, both in terms of the content that you'll see on the channel, as well as what my group plans to do. In terms of content, I'll be streaming our prog as always. We'll be starting our raid at around 1 PM CEST for the first day, and then Wednesday and Thursday we'll be starting a bit later, because we have someone in the group that has work in the morning. And we'll go for a few hours, take a break so that people can make and eat dinner, and then we'll go for a few more hours in the evening. Outside of our first 3 days, we haven't really planned anything yet. We'll just see how far that we get, and then we'll add more hours as is needed. For videos, I'll be uploading our clear POVs as soon as I can. Will most likely be in the evening once we're done with raiding, as I'm not sure if I'll be able to have enough time to upload them during our dinner break. But they should be up either after the stream is finished or the morning after. Depends a bit on how late we end up going. As for the walkthroughs, I'll try to make them when I find the time for them, and then I'll also just upload them as they are ready. Once prog is done, we'll most likely try and optimize the fights a bit more, see if some better strats come out, and then I'll also make some updated videos for the mechanics that we find better strats for, because I wouldn't want people to keep using week 1 prog strats for the entirety of the tier. So, those are kind of like the plans of my group and what you can expect on the channel. Personally, quite excited for this tier, as it's going to be the first time that I'll be playing healer for prog. I've healed Savage in the past, but that has always been way later into the tier, so this is going to be a new experience for me. Not super confident on playing healer, especially not in these kinds of scenarios, so I hope that doing this can sort of boost my confidence, I guess you could say. So I'm really looking forward to it. Also really glad that the Savage version of the tier is coming out a week later. Like this past week has been really chill, had the time to play through the story both for the raid as well as the MSQ, then we farmed the extreme trial a bit as a group, and then I also had the time to farm out my tomestones and get my crafted gear finished. Usually those are all things that either have to wait till after Savage is done, or in terms of the crafting, that's something that we'd be rushing to get finished, and then the first day or two of the patch are just super packed. So I'm really glad that they decided to try out this 1 week delay. It means that we could enjoy the content of the patch for a week, prepare our stuff for Savage, and then head into Savage tomorrow without having to spend any time on the side stuff like having to craft gear and consumables and, well, playing through normal mode. I am curious to see how it will affect the difficulty of the tier though, because we will be going into the fights with a lot more gear than we normally have. Now, if you say that this doesn't change anything, you've never done a week 1 clear before, the DPS check of the final fight is always the hardest thing to clear, and that is because at most you'll have a few Savage drops on your DPS players, and that's it. Everything else is minimum item level. This time around though, we can have an upgraded chest or leg piece and even an upgraded tombstone weapon on one of our DPS players going into that final fight, which is something that was never possible before, as we just didn't have the tombstones to buy those more expensive items. So I'm curious to see how much easier it will make that final DPS check. But that's also all it will affect, the DPS check. Everything else will of course be as difficult as it otherwise would be, but it should make things a little bit easier. Nevertheless, I'm really looking forward to it. Normal mode was fun enough, so I can't wait to try the fights on Savage, especially the third fight seems a lot of fun, and well, the music I think we all know is pretty sweet as well, so I can't wait to hear that for hours on end as we are progging through the fights. And I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say for now. Looking forward to tomorrow, excited to finally get my first healer prog experience as well, as that is something that I've wanted to do for years at this point, so I'm glad I finally get to do it. And once we're done with prog, I'll probably make another video recapping my thoughts on the tier and such, like I usually do. But that's gonna do it for me for today, so I wanna thank you for watching, I wanna thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.